Let me tell you, if you ever want to find out what people are capable of when you threaten their sense of order and their property values, try inheriting a cabin cruiser from your dead uncle and parking it in a neighborhood run by a tyrant in designer khakis. I learned that the hard way in bright, dripping neon orange, sprayed across 40 feet of perfect white fiberglass. A masterpiece of vandalism that screamed boat trash so loud, I could feel it echo in my gut before my brain even registered the words. That morning, I'll never forget it. I woke up to the smell of paint. It's a chemical sort of violence, isn't it? The kind that crawls up your nose and makes you want to punch the world. I stagger out onto the dock, still half asleep, and there it is. My inheritance, my uncle's pride and joy, transformed overnight from the cleanest boat on Alpine lake into a billboard of shame. Whoever did this didn't just want to ruin my day. They wanted me to feel it, to touch that wet paint and watch it stick to my hands, like guilt you can't wash off, no matter how hard you scrub. And as if the orange wasn't loud enough, there's a violation notice duct taped to my windshield. Remove your boat. 72 hours or $500 a day in fines. Signed by the Queen herself, Delilah Thornfield, HOA president, self-appointed sheriff of peace and tranquility. You ever had a moment where you just stop and think, how the hell did I get here? That was mine. But I guess if you're listening to this, you might have been through your own HOA nightmare, or maybe you're just rubbernecking at my train wreck. Either way, buckle up. Let me take you back to the beginning. My name's Marcus. I'm 52, retired Navy logistics, which basically means I spent 20 years making sure other people's problems didn't become catastrophes. Aircraft carriers, 3 oceans, the whole deal. Not that any of that mattered after my divorce. I ended up in a shoebox apartment in San Diego, trying to make conversation with a teenage daughter who would rather text her friends than look at me. Then Uncle Ezra died, left me his place in the Colorado Rockies. The guy was a legend. Never married, never in debt, built his own dock with nothing but his bare hands and stubbornness. When I stepped into that cabin for the first time in decades, it felt like stepping into a time capsule, thick log walls, the smell of pine sap, a fireplace you could roast a moose in if you wanted. Everything paid off, everything just is. And now mine. Alpine Lake, let me tell you, is like God's private swimming pool. Water, so clear you see the trout waving at you 30 feet down. Around it, about 50 homes, picture-perfect lawns, cars that cost more than my last 3 apartments put together. Everyone pays $350 a month to the HOA, and for that you get manicured everything and a set of rules that reads like it was written by someone who failed out of law school, but still really wanted to use the word covenant. Then I met Delilah. Picture a woman who spent her whole life climbing the corporate ladder, then one day decided to turn in her power suit for a country club uniform and declare herself queen of the mountain. She runs the HOA like it's her own personal fiefdom, issuing violation notices with the kind of glee you usually see in reality TV villains. The first time she spoke to me, she told me my boat created unsightly ripples that disturbed the lake aesthetic. I laughed. She didn't. You can see where this is going. I tried to be reasonable. I really did. Showed her my boat registration, insurance, everything above board. She gave me this smile, one of those tight, sharp things that's about as genuine as a politician's promise, and said, "We'll see about that." From there it was psychological warfare, violation notices, legal threats, anonymous complaints, petitions signed by neighbors who wouldn't recognize my boat if it floated into their kitchen. I'll admit, part of me started to wonder if I'd made a mistake coming here. Maybe Uncle Ezra just knew how to keep his head down. Or maybe the rules weren't so strict when he was around. But nothing he taught me, no bit of Navy training, no long night at sea, prepared me for an enemy armed with nothing but a clipboard and a bottomless well of spite. The night they vandalized my boat, something in me snapped. You ever feel that? Like a line gets crossed, and suddenly you're not playing defense anymore. You're going on the attack. So I did what I do best. I started gathering intelligence. 6 hours in the county courthouse, breathing in the smell of old paper and old grudges, reading through stacks of HOA covenants and amendments that would put most people to sleep in 10 minutes. But there, buried in the fine print, was something about original owners having grandfathered rights, the kind of thing people overlook until it becomes important. Next mission: fortify the perimeter. For cameras, night vision, cloud backup. If Delilah or her minions so much as looked at my boat funny, I'd have proof. Sure enough, when I reported the vandalism, the county deputy took it seriously. "You're not the first," he told me, snapping pictures, collecting paint samples. "These HOA types, they get a taste for power, starts to rot their brains." He actually said that. I sent Delilah a demand letter, $3, $500 for repairs, stop the harassment, apologize. She hit back with an emergency board meeting and a brand new rule. No boats over 25 feet, no boats older than 10 years. Just so happened mine was both. She started printing flyers, telling everyone I was polluting the lake. Got her friends to take pictures of my boat every time I left the dock, like I was some kind of fugitive. But then I got lucky. Down in Ezra's basement, I found this box. Yellowed paperwork, deeds, surveys, letters going back 100 years. There, in old handwriting, was a deed from 1923, language about riparian rights, about water usage, about property boundaries going all the way into the lake. Now, I'm no lawyer, but even I could see this was a game changer. And then, right when things seemed bleak, allies started to come out of the woodwork. Beth, a retired teacher, told me Delilah had driven out a family over tomato plants. Jim, a Vietnam vet, got fined for the shade of green on his mailbox. There was a pattern. Delilah systematically targeted anyone who didn't bow to her vision of paradise. She messed with the wrong guy this time. 20 years in Navy logistics teaches you patience and how to look for your enemy's weak spot. Every morning, I'd drink coffee on the dock and plan. Every evening, I'd run the boat, engine purring, just to remind everyone I was still there. But Delilah wasn't done. One afternoon, I come back from town to find my boat drifting free, scraping against the rocks. Someone had cut the dock lines, clean, surgical. My cameras caught a figure in the dark, and plain as day, Delilah's white BMW in the background. I upped my security, floodlights, backup batteries, double locks, the works. Started recording everything. Every conversation, every threat, every violation notice. Colorado's a one-party consent state. Thank God. Next, I brought in a real estate attorney, Sarah, tough as nails. She took one look at the deed and burst out laughing. "Marcus, you don't just have lake access. You own the damn lake." Turns out, when my great-great-grandfather built the dam and created Alpine Lake, he kept all the water rights. Every drop, every fish, every inch of lake bed. Delilah and her army of clipboard-wielding minions, they've been trespassing for decades. Sarah filed an injunction. No one could take away my access while the courts sorted it out. We sent a letter, prove your authority or back off. Meanwhile, I hired a surveyor. Turns out my property went 30 feet farther into the lake than anyone thought. Delilah's beloved gazebo, sitting on my land. She called another emergency meeting, tried to pass a $25,000 legal fund to fight me. Even got the local paper involved, spinning wild stories about environmental catastrophe. She hired her brother-in-law to study my boat's wake. Guy produced a report on a napkin. No joke. But people started seeing through it. More neighbors shared their own horror stories. Playgrounds torn down, fines for bird feeders, medical equipment declared unsightly. Jim dug into the HOA's finances. Turns out Delilah was draining the coffers with endless legal battles, enriching a handful of law firms while the community suffered. Delilah doubled down, filing a $100,000 lawsuit against me. Accused me of destroying property values, disrupting community harmony, even endangering children with my boat. Her expert witness claimed my 25-footer created more wake than the neighbor's speedboats. Scientific method, binoculars and a ruler. Through all this, I just waited. Let her spend money, let her build her case on sand. My lawyer said, don't flinch. She'll hang herself. And she did. The final showdown, oh, you're going to love this, came at a community meeting. The place was packed. Delilah struts to the front, waving petitions and color-coded charts. She demanded my boat be banned, that I pay $15,000 in restoration fees. Her friends cheered. I asked for 10 minutes, hooked up my laptop to the projector, put the old deed on the screen for everyone to see. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, I don't just have the right to use this lake. I own it. All of it. You could have heard a pin drop. Sarah walked through the chain of title. Every dock, every platform, every fee Delilah had collected illegal. Her face turned every color but human. I told them, I could kick every one of you off this lake tomorrow. Sue for trespassing. Destroy your property values. But I won't. $50 a year. Keep your access. Keep your docks, but the harassment stops. Now, you should have seen the relief wash over that room. 2 weeks later, Delilah's house was for sale. Property values jumped. The HOA got new leadership. Monthly dues dropped. The rules became suggestions instead of threats. My daughter spent the summer with me, learned to drive the boat, made friends, laughed like I hadn't heard in years. I started a scholarship fund for kids studying environmental science, using money Delilah's HOA paid me in the settlement. And Delilah? Last I heard, she moved to Arizona, ended up getting fined by her own HOA for wind chimes and pool equipment. Karma's got a sense of humor. Now I sit on my dock, coffee in hand, flag flying off the stern, and I listen to the laughter echo across water that legally belongs to me, but really belongs to everyone who stands up to bullies and remembers what home is supposed to be. So let me ask you, if you had the power to pull the rug out from under someone who'd made your life hell, would you do it? Or would you choose mercy? Where's the line between defending yourself and becoming the next neighborhood tyrant? I want to hear your story. Ever had an HOA nightmare? Ever taken on a bully and won? Or lost? Drop your thoughts below. Maybe your story is next.